Kim Langling, as I chat with awesome guests from all walks of life who share how they have conquered their fears. So get ready, my friends, to be empowered to let your own fears bounce. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Let Fear Bounce. This is Kim Langling, your host, and I am so happy that you are deciding to spend a small part of your day with myself and my special guest today, coming to us from Calgary, Canada, Kate Semeniuk. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, Kate is a certified hypnotherapist and a licensed rapid transformational therapist working with people's deepest mental struggles. In 2020, she and her family found themselves in isolation, along with the rest of the world, and she finally hit rock bottom, where everything just crashed on her emotionally and physically. And only through personal growth and recovery was she able to find the method that liberated her from emotional pain, childhood trauma, and from addiction since the age of 12 and a decades-long depression. She's now helping others to free their minds from destructive patterns and behaviors by regaining the power of self-suggestions and positive self-talk. She's guiding clients to access their subconscious mind and to bring to the surface the hidden triggers, beliefs, and thoughts. Wow. Boy, there's a lot we can talk about, Kate. First off, welcome to Let Fear Bounce.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you for having me on the show and for this really nice introduction.
Yeah, as I stumble through, you have a lot of tongue twisters in your bio there, Kate, just so you know.
I need to make it like right flow. I know.
Or it's just me. Who knows? Anyway, hypnotherapy. I have found it fascinating. And you and I were talking off mic because I know another woman who practices Ericksonian hypnotherapy, and you practice rapid transformational therapy. And so I find all of that, reaching the subconscious and delving into that, fascinating, because the human brain is amazing. And we're not even close to tapping into the power of what our human brain, can do. What is it? There's a statistic that we use less than 10% of our
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah, usually up to 10 to 20% for sure.
And I mean, just think of that though. So that's, 80 to 90% of our brain that we're not using. Could you imagine? Oh, wow. It'd be a different world, that's for sure.
Oh, completely different.
Wow. Yeah, interesting stuff. But you practice rapid transformational therapy. Now that came to you during, when the whole world shut down. Is that when you discovered it, or you'd always been interested in it? How did that come about that you said, I want to get licensed in this?
Yeah, so I was in completely different industry, I was in retail, managing teams. That's merchandising. Before that, I was in a restaurant business. So there was so many different avenues that led me to work one-on-one with people. First, I worked with groups of people in a setting of customer service, right? But at the same time, in 2020, yes, that's what, as people say, something happened.
Yeah.
When the pain, you know how your podcast is called Let Fear Bounce? The same, it happened to me. Like the pain bounced back at me. The pain that I was shutting down just bounced back. And bounced back.
Is that because you were forced to be in one place and more settled and more quiet?
Exactly. Yes, I was like running, right? Like, let's just shove it all down, maybe one day.
Yeah.
One day I'll be ready. Well, universe decides differently. It's like, here you go, you're ready.
I can understand that statement that you just said. 'Cause I live with PTSD and stuffed that down for years and years until all of a sudden, nope, couldn't stuff it anymore.
Absolutely.
And
you have
it
to
just
address
comes
it.
exploding out.
Yeah, so that's what happened, right? I was like, why am I not at peace? Like, it wasn't like we were desperate at 2020, right? Canada created really good conditions for people to stay home, to get paid. So it wasn't a stressful environment unless you were prone to getting sick and could get complications. Other than that, we were healthy, kids were healthy. Why would we worry? But at some point inside, everything was boiling. And that's when you are at home, there is nothing really to do. Let's do some self-development. And that's when I started to do some meditation, self-hypnosis practices. Some were Googling, oh, it should help with stress, or it should help with accessing the subconscious mind. I didn't know anything about subconscious mind. I knew there was a part of our brain that you better not go there
Yeah.
because a Pandora box.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I believed in. However, as my health, my mental health, right, deteriorated, I decided to try it on, and once I tried it on, I was like, I love it. I love it. I
So,
want to do this with people.
yeah, and I understand that mindset. Once you find something that works for you, you're like, okay, more people need to know about this.
Yes, exactly.
I
That was
understand that. Yeah. So you, in your bio, said you had an addiction since you were 12.
yeah, a drinking and a smoking addiction. Yeah.
Since you were 12.
Well,
That's awful young.
I know my daughter is 15, and I'm like, holy.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine, right? What I was doing at 15, and
Now,
she's
was
an
that is
angel.
that because of home trauma or something that was happening or peer pressure? I mean,
I
and I'm
think
just being
it's
honest, I can't imagine starting to drink at 12.
Yes, I think it's a snowball of different things, right? So first it was at home, it was a really tough situations, right? It's Ukraine, it's 90s, right? So it's really not the best time for a person to, to grow in a peaceful environment,
Well,
right? Even though
it's
my
not right
parents,
now either,
I know, oh my,
unfortunately.
far from.
Yeah.
Yes. So and then the peer pressure and lack of confidence and lack of self-worth. And, my parents had trauma as well, right? They did the best they could. However, yes, there was like yelling, there was some withdrawal, right? So I think that I just found connection when I was drinking, when I was smoking, friends, right? I felt like I have a group. I belong. And that's when it started. And of course, I would stop and start and stop and start, but eventually it was going on for years and years, until I remember my husband, and we were still in Ukraine 8 years ago. He told me, Kate, if we don't move, if we don't change the environment completely, and I was having a restaurant, so it was making it much harder
Yeah.
not to drink.
Right.
That's what brought me to Canada, just to change completely the environment and to see what's out there. Maybe there are some more opportunities, there is some more, and it happened. Here in Canada, I believe immigration really helped me face my fears, face my traumas, and really stop the generations of addictions in my family.
There you go. Yeah, that generational thing. So
Yeah,
it stops with you.
it stops with me for sure.
That is awesome. That is
I'm
so I'm assuming that you no longer drink or smoke?
No, not at all. Not at
Awesome.
all. Yeah. I used to be a selective drink, like I would drink selectively from
Yeah.
2020, but in 2021 I was like, it doesn't really bring me anything. Like it's just because I had so much of it, right? It's not like I
Right.
was selectively having a glass of wine here and there. It was like a bottle of wine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's just stop it altogether and see how the brain will recover, how how I will start to feel, and I did
Well,
feel better.
physically and mentally, you have to feel better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like I believe that, oh, I'm so young. I'm still going to be able to recover. No, the health, I'm still facing the consequences of a 12-year old smoking and drinking,
Yeah.
like the autoimmune disease, right? The broken metabolism, right? There are so many different things that I'm still dealing with and probably will deal for many years as a result of not taking care of myself. Yeah.
Well, thank goodness. Thank goodness your
I know.
husband. Thank goodness your husband said, you know what, we got to do something.
Yes, yes, it was really great, really grateful to his suggestion.
You're fortunate you had someone there saying, "Hey, no more. We can't do this. We gotta change things so we can actually make it."
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
How
Yes,
blessed you are.
I am
Yeah.
blessed. And that's how I started when I started to work on my subconscious mind, trying to release some fears and traumas. I realized, wow, there is There is so much. I didn't want to recognize it.
Yeah.
Right? And I can see how it can go down the rabbit hole as
Yeah.
well, right? Once you start to uncover, you start to like kind of get stuck in
Yeah.
the past, right? So when people go to therapy for 8 years, for 15 years, right? And I ask them like, okay, what have you noticed? And like, not much of a difference. Even though it's so easy, it makes me feel lighter and better when I talk about it for an hour and I get the tools and coping strategies, but my life really didn't change that much. So we can go down the rabbit hole if we start to get stuck in resolving the past. There is some like a middle ground here. Yeah, to look into the past, to see what happens, to recognize it, but also to integrate it into the present. Like I'm here and now, and I can
Right.
build my future.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can unpack the past, but that doesn't mean you repack it and stay there.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. A lot of, and I found myself also going down that road where you're stuck and you still repeat that blaming strategy. Before I would blame the government. Now I blame my parents.
Right, right. I
Nothing really
understand
changed.
that. Yes, I understand. And I'm sure that many of the folks that are listening right now, we've all had something. You don't live this life smooth and an easy ride. It
No.
just doesn't happen. Everybody's had something that they've went through or they're dealing with. And it is very easy, like you said, to go back and get in that rabbit hole. And I've found myself doing it too with, past traumas. Well, what if? Well, if I would have just done this, yeah, but all of those things that stop you, that
Exactly.
hinder you from, pushing the door open and going, wait a minute, there's light. There's light out there. Why am I putting myself back in the dark room?
Yeah, and how it relates to your podcast, like Let Fear Bounce,
Right.
is because the thing that stops you from moving forward is the fear.
Right.
Fear of
Yes.
change, the fear of unfamiliar, the fear of responsibility. There are so many different things that can
Well, and a
hold you.
lot of times, and I've talked to a few folks, they don't know how to feel better. So it's a fear of feeling better because they've never known it.
Exactly. And comes the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind loves what's familiar and it believes that the unfamiliar is pain. So we believe that, oh, I want that unfamiliar. I want that peace of mind. I want the calmer states more often in the day. But I don't know. It's unfamiliar. And the subconscious mind automatically puts unfamiliar into the pain, into the danger. That's it. If we can consciously understand what we want, subconscious mind only puts safe or dangerous. That's it. So if unfamiliar, I've never felt, for example, better. I've never felt calmer. I have always, you know how people say, I have always been anxious. I'm an anxious person from birth.
Right. Yes.
So when they say that, of course, the mind is like, oh, then we don't know anything else but anxiety. So let's
Right.
stay here. And
Yeah,
that's
as
what
long
holds
as
us
you
back.
tell yourself that's what you are, you're going to stay that way.
Exactly. Exactly, right? The power of that self dialogue, inner dialogue. Yeah.
Oh, and it is incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
And
So that's,
I've talked to folks, and I don't know if you have or not, or maybe you've come across folks when I mention hypnotherapy or different things like that, because I find it fascinating. And other folks, it's, just because it's something that they don't know about, they're not educated on, they'll be like, well, that's kind of woo-woo stuff, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. And people do still have lots of, or people will be interested because maybe someone recommended them, but they call me, for example, and they ask, is it being out of control? Is
Right.
it the state where I have to do things? Entertainment hypnosis on stage really racked the reputation of hypnotherapy.
Yes, you're right.
Right?
Yeah, you're
Yes,
right.
that's and that how it all started, right? It all started, hypnotherapy was one of the main methods of dealing with PTSD after the Second World War. It was one of the most profound methods. However, once the medication came like into place, right? Talk
Right.
therapy became more popular. Hypnotherapy kind of lost its momentum. And so a lot of hypnotherapists started to do the entertainment hypnosis because entertainment will always be trendy, let's just say.
Right.
So they started to do that. And that's what brought people to believe that I'm going to be doing something that I don't want to be doing.
Yeah.
However, in hypnotherapy, it's actually regaining back control over your mind. So if we think about our life, we are very often not in control of our mind. You know, people who have OCD, anxiety, fears, it's the mind controlling us.
Yeah.
So we are not in control already. So when you go into a hypnotherapy session, you're actually regaining back that control over your mind, not the mind controlling you with fears, with catastrophizing, obsessive, thoughts,
Right.
with different mental health issues, depression. No, you regain back control. So that's one of the things that I tell people. Hey, it's actually vice versa.
And it's a
You get
very
that back.
gentle, hypnotherapy is a very gentle therapy, correct?
Exactly. Yes,
It's
it can
nothing
be.
it's nothing that you have to fear.
Yes, people fear the only thing, being out of control. That's
Right.
it.
The
If I'm not,
unknown. Yeah.
and the unknown, right? And because they felt out of control many, many years ago, and that was very painful. Of course, we bring that pain because another rule of the subconscious mind, it doesn't know time. The 95%, can you imagine the 95% of our mind doesn't know time? So, which means that whatever happened in the past, we might understand it happened in the past. But if we didn't change the meaning of that event, if we didn't really process that, we're going to act and behave just like we were 5, just like we were 8, just like we were 15, with the same or just like we were 22 when some traumatic event happened. We're going to react the same way because subconscious mind is like, no, you remember? Let's bring that same reaction.
Yeah, emotional memory.
Memory. Exactly. Yes. And
Powerful stuff there. And I don't, the first time I heard those two words put together, emotional memory, it was like a light went off because and I don't know why. For some people, for whatever reason, those two words put together brought it all together for me. So I'm in Walmart and I can't figure out what kind of pepper I want to get, and I start having a panic attack. And then I realized later it wasn't the pepper, it was the song that was playing that was a trigger.
exactly.
And it just went like from head to toe through my whole body, and I was frozen,
Yes.
staring at the pepper.
Yeah. So,
And when I heard that term emotional memory, I went, "Oh my goodness." That it lit the whole thing up for me.
yeah. And because not only that, but when there is a traumatic experience, whatever it is, abuse, verbal, emotional, sexual, whatever happened, or some kind of a loss that happened, what happened in that memory, in the mind becomes like a camera, like a 5D, 6D
Yeah,
camera. So
right.
it takes the smells, it takes the sounds, it takes the color of the walls, it takes the season. Some people
Right.
like, I hate winter. I hate winter. It's like, let's figure out why you hate it. 'Cause there is
I
something
I
there.
don't care for winter either, and I know why.
Yeah, right. So there's always emotion, right?
Right.
And the emotion. So we hear, smell, see, feel the sensations, and then it becomes a memory with that emotion, with that, not only with that emotion, but with the meaning that you
Right.
put into that, right? So I am a failure. I'm not good enough. I'm
Right.
not worthy. Whatever, I'm different. There's something wrong with me. I can't connect. I don't belong. I'm excluded. I don't matter. I'm not appreciated. You
Yeah.
choose it. But that's the meaning that we attached to that. Whatever feeling we had, feeling of sadness, disappointment, right? Disgust, whatever. And we attached the meaning. And now that's like a little passport.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Good way to put it. A
Yeah,
little
like a passport
passport.
that we carry with us all the time. And it's like our identification,
Right. Yes.
how we identify ourselves.
And
I am a failure. I'm a bad mother. I'm a whatever.
yeah. And have you found that women do that more so than men?
I would believe that men suppress it more than women.
You're
That's what I've
probably
noticed.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. The meaning, yeah, based on our physiology, right? Yes, I would say that man, since I'm working both with men and women, right? There is a difference, but the meanings and the beliefs are the same. There is a difference in how people suppress it. For example, women can cry. Women have women's circle. We have friends, right? We can go to our neighbor and have a glass of wine and talk about how bad our husband is, for example,
Right.
right? Right. We can find the connection. For men, it's harder, even though they still can. There are men who have great relationship with friends and they can kind of decompress a little bit. However, based on their upbringing, they suppress it more. But the amount of beliefs that we have, it's the same. The limiting beliefs are the same.
Yes. Yes.
Good enough. Yeah. It just shows up in our body differently. Some men don't have strong anxiety, but they have strong logic and rational mind that just overwhelms them. And women can have panic attack and they can freeze,
Yep.
right? And they can't deal with the physical sensations.
So for someone that's sitting out there listening right now and they're thinking, oh gosh, I've done that. I've been stuck in Walmart looking at the pepper, you know, frozen, or the emotional memory. Maybe those two words are clicking with someone right now, or how
Mhm.
you said, men suppress things differently or even more stronger than women do. Someone sitting out there, what's a simple tool that you could gift to the listeners right now? Just one little thing, not saying that's going to fix them, but one little thing that they can try and start to use and see how it works for them. Do you have something that just a small tool that you can share with the listeners?
Yes, absolutely. Usually, it could be any reminder to be in the present moment. This is a talk therapy method, right? I'm going to give the logic and the subconscious tool, right? So the logical tool, right, is to have a little rubber band, on your wrist, right, that you can snap, or anything that can bring you to the sensations of your body. Stroking is really good, but you can't do it in a grocery store. I mean, you can, but it's gonna feel like just soothing myself,
Yeah.
self-soothing. You can do it, yeah, because stroking really helps. Stroking is what we want the most as children, right? So you can stroke yourself. However, in the working with the subconscious mind, it's better to dim the picture. So for example, the freeze mode, usually when we have freeze mode, the logic is out the window,
Right. Right.
right? So breathing is the best, or imagining the picture. For example, I'm just frozen, right? There's some racing thoughts. And in your mind, you hold the very positive pictures, like I'm calm. And people need to choose that picture for themselves. Maybe it's their house on the lake when they go on vacation, each summer. Or maybe it's a picture of their family, loved ones, whatever. But they just replace it. In their mind, they close their eyes for a second. You're in that, and then you replace it. It's an NLP practice, neuro-linguistic programming, that really helps. And the more you do it, just close your eyes and put the picture that is very positive in front of your mind.
I like that visual. That's okay. I'm not going to say easy because everybody's journey is different, but to practice it, you can practice that, grab that mental picture that you want and keep it the same. You said that's the best, is keep the same picture.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
then you
I
can
like
bring that up wherever you're at. So you're practicing, and then it because repetition, we all know, repetition, and it'll come
repetition.
automatically when you need it.
Exactly, right? So
Folks that practice taekwondo or self-defense or all manner of different things, it's repetition. It's the same with, I love that analogy. Find a picture and keep that photograph, and then just
yes, because
slide it in front of close your eyes and put it in your little viewfinder. When you
exactly.
were kids, those little viewfinders
Yes,
that
yes.
you click the pictures, there
The
you
same.
go.
Yeah, it's a really nice practice. And the more we do it, the more space we create. So this is a very interesting thing. Whenever something happens, the trigger, the subconscious mind will react faster. 1 to 5, the logic, which is the rational, the thinking mind that can actually rationalize anything. So I'm in this grocery store. I'm good, right? I'm safe. Only comes a couple of seconds later. So first, subconscious mind reacts, and then the logic reacts. So we have that space. So the more picture you put, the more frequently you replace the picture, the more you increase that space between the reaction. So you
Yeah.
don't freeze right away, but you actually create that space. So
So
that's
you're
so that's
creating you're creating a buffer for
a
yourself.
buffer, a buffer space between the reaction and the trigger. That's it. And then you choose in that buffer time, whatever it is, it could be a couple of seconds, it can be 1 second, you have a choice. That's where people say, what is choice? How can I choose? You know, in that buffer time you choose.
Right.
It could be not only
I'm gonna choose to walk away, or I'm gonna choose to be still stuck there and not be able to
yeah.
breathe. My chest hurts and I'm clenching my jaw and
Yes, the same with self-sabotage, for example, or procrastination, or whatever we have, we can do that the same. We can replace, for example, if I'm as well for a year writing a book, but it's still not there. It's still far from there. Why? Because there is a form of self-sabotage. There is a form of self-sabotage, which means that I need to create that space where I put a really nice picture, where I already hold that book
yeah.
with a smile for a photographer,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And I need to put it in, put it in, put it in. It's in front of me until it becomes like a nature that I spend 1 hour a day, half hour a day,
Yeah.
writing.
What an awesome. Oh, wow, that's awesome. Thank
Because
you for
the
sharing that.
subconscious mind, yeah, the Kim, subconscious mind reacts only to two things: the words that you say and the pictures that you make. That's it. So make good pictures. Yeah.
You've got to make a poster out of that.
Yes. And
Or a
and
t-shirt,
it's not
whatever.
easy. The
Put your
first
book to
time,
the side and sell t-shirts with that saying on it. You're good to go, lady.
yeah, maybe that's the revenue to go.
You never know. You never know. There's
You
different
never
paths in life
know.
to take, but you can always come back to that main one.
And what I find with clients is they say it's hard, Kate. It's hard when the trigger comes. I was like, isn't it harder to be in the same pattern every single day? When they tell me like it's so hard to change, it's so hard to change the pattern. I was like, isn't that harder right now? Isn't that like a constant pain every single day that you experience?
Yeah,
What
there's
are you losing?
so many people. As I've said to people before, I'm like, you have to grant people grace because you have no idea the battles that they fight every single day.
Absolutely.
No one knows. I don't know what battles you may be fighting right now as we're talking and smiling with each other.
Exactly. Yes. There's
So
so much.
give not only do you find that your clients, I don't know if you talk about this with them, but they give others grace much quicker than they give themselves grace.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We believe it's very interesting. It's very interesting that you brought it up because it's such an important concept. People come like I meet other people's needs. I am so kind to others, but I'm not kind to myself, right? Or I don't give myself grace, but I'm absolutely forgiving to people around me. I was like, the universe doesn't understand if you're mean to people or you're mean to yourself. It's the same amount of energy
Right.
and
Right.
negative energy that goes, right?
Yeah.
Where you can be kind to everyone else but not to yourself. You're not doing anything better, right?
Right.
You're not, because people believe, and so they say, well, everyone else deserves more than me. There is
Why?
something abnormally not normal about
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
I'm specially broken.
Right. There you go.
Right?
Another saying for a coffee mug. Lady, you're on fire. Write those down.
Right? And I was like, what is so abnormally broken about you that is not a problem broken
Right.
about other people? And they're like, yeah.
I had and it was a therapist actually that said to me, Kim, the stuff that you say to yourself that you're not worthy, you're a piece of crap, whatever it is, however it is you word it to talk about yourself, I want you to turn around and talk to your daughter like that. Tell her.
Oh,
Tell her that's what she is. And I went, "What are you talking about?" And she goes, "Would you ever talk to someone else the way that you talk to yourself?" And
yeah.
I said, "No, that would be so hurtful." And she went, "Indeed."
That's it, right?
And when she put it that way, that was another thing that really stopped me in my tracks. It's like
Mhm.
we all do at some point talk horribly to ourselves. Would you talk to your child that way? Or someone that you really care about? Would you just all of a sudden start talking to them in that horrid way? that you talk to yourself. And I was like, oh my gosh, what another light bulb moment.
Exactly. By the way, light bulb moments, right? It's from quantum physics. It's that quantum leap that we make in our changes. When we have aha moments, light bulb moments, so one phrase, right? You probably knew that before, but one phrase that made you change the perspective. It's like, oh, I would never do that to my child,
Right.
right? Changes, and you start to change the pattern within you. So that's called aha moment, that light bulb moment, and it's a much faster quantum leap towards healing. So, for example, my job, that's my mission actually, to create more light bulb moments for people. When they go into the session, I actually go and ask them if your child would come up to you with the same experience that you had in childhood and tell you that I'm garbage, I'm worthless, it's all my fault. I need to punish myself. They usually have tears and they say, I would never so it's like, so what's the difference between your 8-year-old son and 8-year-old you? Was there anything wrong about that 8-year-old? It's just like, no, there is nothing, right? Because that's really creates that light bulb moment that creates
Yeah.
a faster
That's
shift.
a big one.
Yeah.
Wow. Another good analogy. I
Yeah.
hope you folks out there listening are catching what she's throwing out there to you folks. I mean, these are awesome little nuggets that she's tossing out. Write them
Absolutely.
down. That's why
Yeah.
that's what I do. I write things down. I am big on sticky notes. I love sticky notes, and the brighter the color, the better. And
Yeah.
I will write stuff down, and I have sticky notes above my laptop screen. So as soon as I sit down, that's what I see, and I can read them and I'll see them, and it's if it's one of those mornings where you're just, oh, gosh, and I'll be like, all right, here's one I'll read to you that I have. My success rate for getting through the tough stuff is 100% because I'm
Oh,
still here.
beautiful. No, no, no questions asked, right? Literally,
Again,
no.
you can't be any better than 100%. So, and that's one of that I have on a bright neon yellow sticky note. My success rate for getting through the tough stuff is 100% because I am still here.
Yeah,
So remind yourself of that, folks. All you out there
absolutely.
listening, you're still here and you're here for a reason. So, oh my goodness, time has flown. Time has flown. But Kate, we're going to get ready to wrap up. And I ask all of my guests, well, two things. First off, please let folks know where they can find you and all this good stuff that you do, that you are helping humanity with. And then, second, after that, if you could toss out a nugget of hope that the listeners can tuck away with them and carry with them for the rest of the day. So the floor is yours, my dear.
Yes, so I'm very active on social media, so people can find me on almost all platforms, which is Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok even. They can find all of the short form and long form videos, Kate Semeniuk, Fears Expert, and they can find me. I have my website, katesemeniuk.com, where people can read more about the process, about me. There is a blog, there are a couple of articles that they can really see what is my perspective on the healing, and they can see if that resonates with them.
Awesome. Now, if you could share a nugget of hope with the listeners.
Absolutely. I believe that life is already a therapy. And if you learn how to interpret your life, it can bring you the healing.
Boom. Mic
Life
drop.
is already a therapy. Yeah, if we look at our events and things, we understand that they all lead us towards growing, towards evolving, towards healing, even if it's a painful event. It shows you what needs to be processed or the parts of you that are not free. So life is a therapy.
The parts of you that are not free.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yes.
You have a lot of t-shirts and coffee mugs you have to start
Oh,
creating, Kate.
you have like a little business idea for me already.
See, there's a little sideline, little side business going on. Well, Kate, thank
Yeah.
you so much for being my guest today. This has been enlightening and lovely, actually. I've learned a lot from you, and I am positive that the listeners are, grabbing onto a lot of the stuff that you were sharing. So thank you so much for being my guest today on Let Fear Bounce.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you for inviting, and it was a pleasure to be here.
And everybody out there listening, thank you once again for tuning in. Each Wednesday, folks, new episodes drop. So be sure that you like, subscribe, share, do all the things so we can get all these beautiful messages out to even more people. This is Kim Langling, your host of Let Fear Bounce. Everybody be well, stay well, and above all, be blessed. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode of Let Fear Bounce. Your time is precious, and I am so grateful that you chose to spend just a small part of it with myself and my guest today. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss our weekly nuggets of hope and inspiration. And remember, folks, let fear bounce because you've got this. So until next time, folks, keep your light shining bright.